What's up, everyone? Kevin here from Skywatcher. Welcome to another episode of the What's Up Webcast. We do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here at the Skywatcher USA YouTube channel. We cover everything from what's up in the nighttime sky to equipment to helpful tips and tricks. And of course, at the end of the month, we have a special guest to talk about their specialty in the field of astronomy. So it is October 3rd, 2025. That's when today's episode aired. All of our episodes, or 99% of our episodes, are live. But they're all recorded afterwards. So if you ever want to go back and look at a topic, you can go back through the whole library and find out what you want to know. So there's all kinds of stuff here. If you like what you see here, please go ahead and subscribe, leave a like on the channel. If you have an idea for an episode, you can email us at info@skywatchusa.com and title it What's Up. Always looking for ideas. If you like and want to support the channel more, hit subscribe and a like on our videos. It goes a long way to letting us know we're doing a good job. If you want to stay with what's going up here at Skywatcher, you can head over to skywatchusa.com. Up at the top, you can hit subscribe and save, and you can join our email list. It'll keep you up to date with what's going on the webcast, sales, all kinds of fun stuff, including new products and all kinds of fun, interesting things like that. While we're on the topic, if you want to support the channel more, you can head over to skywatcher.threadless.com and pick up some cool swag. It's all kinds of fun stuff over there. Or you can head over to skywatchusa.com and pick up your favorite item or something you've been looking at, or go through one of our dealers. It's completely up to you. There's plenty of great ways out there. Right now, our mounts are on sale still. If you're looking to get a deal on a mount, you can head over to our website or, again, through one of your favorite dealers. And you can actually hit too many buttons right now. You can hit all of our... Okay, what's going on here? There we go. You can pick up any mount that you're looking for. A lot of them are on sale right now. While supplies last, you can go on our website, or you can go through your favorite dealer. There's all different kinds of ways to get it. And then we also have a new tab on our website. If you guys want to head over there, you can go up to deals, and then there is clearance items, but now we have a new used item collection here. So we have open box. These have all been inspected. They all have a warranty on them. You can get stuff that's just open box items for a lot less, and we will keep you up to date with some new stuff as well. You might be able to snag it, and it's only while supplies last. So you never know what's going to be up here. We have some new stuff that we're about to add as well. So keep an eye out for that. So there's some big Daub that's going to go in there. One of the older Esprits is going to go in there, one of the bigger ones from the list I just saw earlier. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can pick up there as well. And real quick, before we get started, have to do a big shout out to Rob. Happy birthday, Rob. It's his 60th birthday today. And then we also have Vincent. It's his birthday today as well. So thanks, guys, for watching. Happy birthday. Hopefully it's some clear skies and you guys have a good weekend out there. Yeah, happy birthday to everyone. And I hope you have a good birthday weekend. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them out in the chat. It's always fun to talk to you guys. Hanging out on Friday is a good time. So let's talk about the biggest thing out there right now. That's the moon. New moon is at the end of the month. So if you're looking to get out to some dark skies, October 21st, your dark sky weekend is going to be the weekend just before that, the 18th and the 19th. That's going to be the new moon or dark weekend of the month. So if you're trying to get out, that's the weekend to plan for. And then, of course, full moon is October 6th. So early next week is full moon. We're getting our way into there right now. Tomorrow, October 4th, is International Observe the Moon Night. So if you're looking to get out, I'm sure there's plenty of places around the world and the country that are doing moon observing tomorrow night. So go out and have a good time with that, or set something up and share it with other people. The full moon for this month is actually the harvest moon. The harvest moon is the full moon closest to the autumnal equinox. So a lot of times that's generally September's full moon, but this year it's October. And that was the moon that normally showed that we had to go out and harvest crops before cold starts to set in. And like I said earlier, it is the closest full moon to the autumnal equinox. So, yep, that's happening next week. There is a comment in here. We should probably bring it up. The gentleman by the name of Ben Chappelle, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He hosted the Narrowband channel. Unfortunately, we never got to have him on, but he was a pretty young guy too. He passed away after a battle with cancer. Some of our team got to talk to him at NEAF for a couple years. I never had the pleasure of getting to talk to him too much. It would have been cool to get to know him a little bit more, like the other YouTube influencers that we've had on. But unfortunately, things changed a bit. So sad news in our community there. But he has a lot of great videos. His channel's still there, so you can always go over there and support them and watch all of that. But yeah, that's unfortunate news. I would have loved to have him on. It just never timed out. So, but yeah. So that's unfortunate. Getting on with things. Let's go over to planets, because it's planet season. They're coming back around finally. So instead of talking about planets and doing one slide for every planet and all that fun stuff, let's head over to Stellarium. If you're not familiar with Stellarium, Stellarium is a really fun, easy to use planetarium software that you can download for free. You can do telescope control with it. Once you have the right cables and drivers and fun stuff like that. And it's just a fun thing to mess around. So I like to use it on here because it's really easy to navigate and all that fun stuff. But there's all kinds of other programs out there. So I have it set to tonight about, what time? About 8 o'clock. So that's where we're at the moment, starting out. So we do have a really bright moon up. Of course, we're almost into full moon next week. But if you've been out lately, Saturn has returned to the evening skies. It's visible right as the sun goes down, rising in the east. And not too far from that is also the planet Neptune, hanging out pretty close to Saturn as well. So right as it gets dark now, you can start observing Saturn. And that is one of the planets that's starting to come up now. But as the evenings progress, Uranus does come back up. Like last year, Uranus is hanging around the Pleiades right now. So that'll be coming up. That's around 10 o'clock is when Uranus becomes probably observable. And then not long after that, we start to get Jupiter starting to rise right about 1 o'clock in the morning or just after midnight. But as the month progresses, Jupiter will start to make its appearance in the evening sky, probably more into November is when that's going to be. So, but right now that's kind of where things are at. It looks like Halloween this year. If you're setting up a telescope for Halloween, we'll have a really nice setup of objects to look at if you want to share that. We'll have the moon up. Saturn will be visible. So if you're going to go out and share your telescope on Halloween night, you've got actually a pretty good year this year to work with that if you are setting up a telescope for Halloween. And then you have a nice close approach this weekend of Saturn and the moon. They won't be terribly close to each other, but they'll be close. On October 8th or 5th is when we've got our little close approach with the moon and Saturn. So that's what's up for planets right now. So Saturn, Neptune, they're up right now. A little bit later in the evening, we're starting to get Uranus into the sky. And then Jupiter starts to make its appearance late in the evening towards the end of the month. And then once we get into November, we'll hopefully start seeing that a little bit more. Comment or question. I read on Cloudy Nights that the Wave 150i now has their DC connectors with the same size and not a mix of 2.1 and 2.5. Is that actually true, as the manual still show the original configuration? So with products, we try to keep an idea and try to keep track of all things, but sometimes things get changed without us being notified. I am aware that the power ports on the saddle are now 2.1. I have one of the older ones that are 2.5, And then I have one of the newer ones, which is 2.1, just to confirm it. So yes, there's 2 generations out there. I wish it didn't go that route, but all the current ones are all 2.1, which is nice because 2.1 is more, it's easier to find cables for it. 2.5 is just a bigger throughput. So it's got, I think the 2.5 was a good move for more power throughput, but 2.1 works. But yes, the saddle power ports on Wave 150Is now, the ones that are shipping, should be 2.1. Although I do believe that the port on the back right ascension is still 2.5s for running the saddle power. At least the one I have is 2.5 on the RA and 2.1 up top. These are changes that the factory tends to do. It does happen sometimes, and we adapt to it. But yeah, so I wish there was a smoother way of doing that, but yeah. Question, any tips on collimate the SkyMax 127? I want to do a few lunar full discs with it, and the collimation after flying with it a few times is definitely a bit rough. We have a write-up on how to do that. If you email support and just say, I need Kevin's field guide for matte collimation. Alex might even have it, but if he doesn't, he can email me and I'll give you the PDF for it. It's not too hard, but you need to defocus the star or an artificial star and just adjust the primary with the collimation screws to get those nice concentric circles. It's not difficult to do, but you just need to be patient. So, but we have a guide for it. So email support@skywatchusa.com. And if Alex has it, great. If he doesn't have it, I'll get it over there. So, and that collimation guide works for the 127, 150, and the 180. So it's all the same. Question on Wave 150i, why is there so much tension on the azimuth knobs? Has anyone created an adapter knob that would fit over the knob and make it easier to turn them? Right now I'm using channel locks. The knobs on the Wave 150 are a little small. I understand that. I think someone made a 3D printed like wrench kind of thing to help with that. I've seen it on cloudy nights. I'd really have to dig for it. I don't know if someone's like selling them or offering them, but I have seen them, but I don't know where they are. So that's where those are at the moment. Maybe call Star Arizona. They might be able to, they have a bunch of 3D printers and that might be something easy for them to actually do. They're really crafty and quick with their 3D printer designs. So call Steve or Scott at Star Arizona and be like, hey, can you design something to do this? Or maybe I'll call them after this and give them that idea because they should be available. Other question, got a planetary camera and a Mac. Are you able to drop a Barlow in and magnify targets? You can put a Barlow in pretty much any telescope, but it depends on the size of telescope. Because the smaller the aperture of the telescope, if you put a Barlow into it, it's going to dim the view pretty quickly. So on a larger 5-inch or bigger Mac, you probably would have more success because you've got more light. If it's one of the smaller like 90 or 102s, if it's the moon, you'd probably be okay. But for planets, you're going to get a really dim image really quickly because a Mac is already a pretty slow optical system. And then putting a Barlow is going to double that. So yes, it's doable, but on smaller ones, it's going to be, it's not going to be ideal. On the bigger ones, it'll be more helpful, but sure, you could put a Barlow in it. Just be prepared that the images might be dim if it's like a smaller than 5-inch scope, and depending on what kind of stuff that you want. For planetary imaging, I really find you need to be about, for high resolution planetary imaging, I would probably say a 7-inch is like bare minimum. 8-inch or bigger. That's why a lot of planetary imagers are using like Schmidt-Cassegrains because they're probably using like 11 or 14-inch Schmidt-Cassegrains. Even Newtonians are a really good planetary imaging scope. But you want lots of aperture and good seeing to do planetary. So good questions today, guys. The sun. So the sun is ramping up again. We are in solar max right now. So if you are observing the sun, please make sure you're doing it with safe solar filters. There are all different types. We've done multiple episodes for covering that, from the types of filters to understanding what's going on. So if you want to watch that, you can go back in, but please make sure you're using proper, safe solar filters and not just something you made up. This is a picture through our Heliostar 76 hydrogen alpha solar telescope. If you've never used one of these before, they are starting to show up quite a bit with different people out there. There's a new review that just got posted on Cloudy Nights from October 1st. There is a whole written review of a Heliostar, and I think there's another review coming out in Sky and Telescope. It's either out or it's about to come. I don't remember, but there's some reviews coming out if you want to know more about the Heliostar 76. But the sun is really dynamic. It's changing all the time. Different filters are going to show you different phenomenon. If you want to know more about that, go watch our videos that discuss the different filters and what you can see through them. But there's all kinds of things to see. You can view it. You can image it. You can sketch it. There's all ways you can do it. I kind of gave up on imaging because our friend Simon Tang is so good at it that I just let him do it. I just like going out and looking. It's simple and easy. But the sun's very dynamic right now. And if you want to see more of what's going on in the sun, I like to use this Gong. Gong, G-O-N-G space H alpha in Google, and the link pops up. This has up-to-date images in hydrogen alpha. So you can see right now there's some nice prominences up there. The big old active regions, filaments, all that fun stuff is up there. And then that's what it'll look like if you have a hydrogen alpha solar telescope. And if you have a white light telescope, you can head over to spaceweather.com. And there's actually quite a lot going on with the white light. So if you have a white light filter, go out and check out the sunspots. It's actually a really nice day to look at sunspots. And you don't need a big telescope for it. A small refractor. My personal favorite is the Herschel wedge white light filter. That's great for any refractor, usually 6-inch on down. Check with the manufacturer of the wedge to see what it supports, but a lot of the 2-inch ones will handle up to a 6-inch aperture, and a lot of the 1.25-inch ones are about 4-inch aperture. I have the Starfield Herschel wedge and love it. So it's a really nice way of doing it. But if you just have a white light, like glass or film front mounted filter, that works too. Just make sure you're safe when observing the sun. But there's a lot to see right now. And the nice thing about the sun is it's ever changing. It's always changing its thing. Solar question. Is it worth double stacking a Lunt 40, or will it make the sun really dim due to the small aperture? I had a Lunt 40 double stack. It was one of the best solar telescopes I ever had. I got rid of it because the Heliostars showed up and I wanted to fly the Skywatcher brand, and I liked the way the Heliostar really performs. But at least the 40 Lunt double stack that I had was phenomenal. It was excellent. So I would have no issue recommending a 40 double stack. I didn't find the view to be too dim, but that's just my personal perspective on it. Everyone's different. I do have friends who don't like 40 double stack because they think it's too dim. I actually found it to be really comfortable and really high contrast. So I think it's worth it, but if I get something hydrogen alpha, I want double stack all the time. I like that really narrow bandpass, which is why I'm personally, not just because I'm part of the team, but I really like the Heliostar that we have because of that fact. It's simple to use. I'm not messing with a second etalon. I just tune it and boom, it's doing the performance that I want. And if you want that performance on other brands, you need to double stack it. But yeah, I personally would recommend double stacking a 40, but that's up to you if you think it's worth it. But I loved my double stack 40. And they're so lightweight and easy to use. You can put them on like anything. So the Lunt 40 doubles are excellent. Meteor showers. We have a good one right now. The Orionids are this month, and they peak on the 20th and 21st, and there's no moon. This is like the ideal time for a meteor shower. It's a really good meteor shower. It's going to be dark. You just need to get to a dark sky. So if you're looking to get out and try to do photography or observe a meteor shower, this is going to be the one that I would recommend doing just because its timing is perfect. So get out there, give it a go. If you're going to be out in a dark sky weekend leading before that, you'll probably catch a lot of them once the constellation Orion rises. So yeah, this month is going to be a good one if you're doing meteor showers or you're heading out to dark sky sites. You'll probably get a handful of nice meteors and shooting stars on that as we get closer and closer to it. Comets. I am sure you have all been hearing the news about comets because they are everywhere right now. Comets are like big dirty snowballs. If you're not aware, they're floating through space. And every now and again, we get a couple good ones that float on by. And there's quite a few of them up right now that are pretty decent, although one is really, really the one to look at. I like to use cometchasing.skyhound.com. That's been my go-to website for comet information. It really keeps you up to date with everything. It gives you a nice list of what to take a look at. And then down here, it has some really nice breakdowns of everything. So right now, the big one in the morning is C2025A6 Lemon. That one's really well positioned right now. I've gone out a few times this week in the early morning hours with, I have a little C-Star S30. It's just really easy to pop out. And I've been shooting pictures of it with that little guy just to see what I could get. Although I might have to set up a bigger, nicer telescope and try to get a nice picture of it. But there's a little tail in there and there's some nice details. So, and it's super well positioned too. I mean, by 3 or 4 in the morning, it's pretty high up in the sky. So it's in a really good spot if you're trying to get pictures of it. You've got time to get it. It is a northern hemisphere comet right now. You southern hemisphere people get it all the time. You always get the good comets. We just want one. So, but that's a really good one right now. It's shining, according to this, it's at 6.9 magnitude. So it's just inside naked eye visibility. Camera lenses, some binoculars. I haven't visually seen it. I haven't tried yet. But you should be able to get it in a pretty small telescope as a little puffball in there. But if you want like detail, the cameras are going to be what you're going to have to go. Now in the evening, there's been 2 that have been floating around in the evening, and I haven't been keeping a really good eye on it. Let me see which one's which. I think it's these 2. So you have C2025R2 Swan, and then you have K1 Atlas down here. Oh, this is the evening comet. This is the morning comet. Okay. Sorry, there's 3 of them that people have been talking about, and I've been having a hard time keeping track. So the good one in the morning is A6 Lemon. Easy, go for it, have fun. This guy over here, R2 Swan, is in the evening, and I haven't tried it yet. Let's see if we can get a better idea. Here's the chart. What's today? Today's the 3rd. So if we use the chart, so it's in Libra. It's still not far from Mars. So it's low. You're going to have a really good southwestern horizon right now. I might have to go try this one this weekend because I haven't seen this one either. Let me pull it up in Sky Safari really quick because I'm not sure about it. What is this? C 2025 R2. Oh, okay. That's where it's at. That's still pretty high, actually. Is that right? Oh, wait. No, this is not right. Wrong time. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, you have a very limited window to see this comet. So it's kind of in a chain right now where it goes Spica, Mars, and then the comet. It's almost halfway between Mars and Antares, but by about 6:30, at least for here, it's only 17 degrees above the horizon. So you need to be like ready to hop on that comet. I'll have to try it tomorrow night and see if I can catch it. So, but yeah. So anyway, the two big comets right now are A6 Lemon and R2 Swan. There is a third one that I'm probably missing, but there's so many of these to keep track of at the moment but anyway, if you want to know more about comets, go over here and check it out. Cometchasing.skyhound.com. They have a nice video that keeps everything up to date. So you can go in there, and then they have all these really nice notes to give you on which comets are exciting, when they'll be at their brightest, maybe comets that we should be aware of. So yeah, all that fun stuff is in there. So cometchasing.skyhound.com if you want to know more about comets. That is my favorite website to use because it just breaks it down really nice. Question: are all of you at Skywatcher that do astrophotography have a consensus on what to use to control your gear? ASI Air, Stella Vita, Nina, Sharpcap, Stellarmate. Most of us use ASI Air because it's simple. Yeah, it's just simple, straightforward. I do all my testing with an ASI Air. If I'm doing any observations, like if I'm beta testing a prototype, a lot of times how we do it is we take a full frame camera, one of our ZWO 6200s. We put a full frame camera on it. We put it on there. We shoot with all different kinds of filters. We do color and monochrome to observe how the optics work. We're basically testing for field flatness, color correction, and just how well the optics are rendering everything. But I use an ASI Air to do that because it makes it super clean and easy to do, because I'm switching through different telescopes, different setups. So it's a lot more simplified for me to just plug in my gear and go and not have to deal with drivers. So the ASI Air is really our go-to. We do have two Stella Vitas that we're kind of working with and trying to learn. Those still, in my opinion, need a little bit of work on the developer's end, but they work. I've played with Nina a little bit. So the thing about Nina is a super powerful program, although Nina is like a puzzle. Nina just gives you kind of the framework to take all these different control systems and route them into one control panel, which is really nice, and it has a lot of really advanced features. But I just have not had time to really sit down and mess with Nina like way into the nitty gritty. But we have a few people on our extended team that do use Nina. I used to use Sky X from Software Bisque. I still have a copy of it, but the ASI Air is really hard to beat for the convenience. Now, I do understand that if you want to use other hardware, that being in that closed loop system that an ASI Air is, it kind of renders that to be impossible. Because, I mean, my favorite focuser motors are the Optex, the FX. They have a couple different ones, but I really like the Optec motor focusers. And the reason I like these is I put them on my scope and I just rotate the housing and it disengages the gear, and it allows me to use this fine focus knob. Obviously, it would work better and make more sense when it was mounted, but I can put this fine focus and still use the focuser normally without having to take everything apart. That's what I don't like about like an EAF, is I don't want to use a remote. I want to use my focuser manually for visual, and then if I'm imaging, I want to do that. Now, when you're using an ASI Air, you have to use all ASI ZWO products. That's the caveat to it, is you have to be in the ecosystem. So there are pluses and minuses to that. Pluses, you don't have to worry about drivers or messing around with things, and it's all plug and play. Minus, you can't use any other brand. So anyway, short answer, ASI Air is great and it's hard to beat. So That's what we use. But we've also messed around with other stuff. I would like to take a moment for anybody who's watching this. If you call in and you have questions about, hey, I want this software to work on your mount, how do I get it to work? We don't make these softwares, and we try to be knowledgeable about them, but we can't keep up with everything. Some of these softwares cost a lot of money. Some of these softwares are rarely ever asked for. So we try to give answers where we can. But if you call up, you're like, hey, how do I get my thing to run on Green Swamp server? It's like, I don't know 100%. We are here to support our products the best we can. But when you start stepping into like the third-party software stuff, it makes it difficult for us to be able to know all the ins and outs of how to get your thing to work on whatever software. There's just so many combinations, it's hard to keep up. So if we use it, we're more than happy to tell you how to do it and our experience about it. But if we don't, because we don't have experience on it, don't get upset with us. It's just, if your mount or your telescope's having a problem, we're more than happy to ask it. But you kind of get into the weeds when it starts talking about third-party support. We'll do what we can, but we can't be on top of every little tiny software that's out there. So, but good question. So yeah, ASI Air is really nice. If you want to take time, Nina is really nice. I've heard good things about Stellarmate. We do have a Stellarmate Pro, which we've worked with. That works pretty well. I have friends who use SharpCap. It's just the ASI Air is super easy to use. And I like that I can automate it really easily. So, all right, so let's talk about deep sky. We are officially in fall. So a lot of the summer constellations are still up. There's a bunch of good stuff up in the sky right now for that. But the fall constellations are starting to make their return into the night sky. So let's talk about the basic one. We have the Ring Nebula. That's up in Lyra, about 2,500 light years away. You can get this in almost any sky. An oxygen 3 filter is really helpful when observing this. It can help up the contrast, especially if you're observing in light polluted skies. Because it is a planetary nebula, those tend to have oxygen 3 in them. So an O3 filter will help. If you don't have an O3 filter, or you want something that's a little less aggressive, then you could use the ultra high contrast or UHC filters. Those are a really nice filter to have as well. That's for your visual side of things. You can do it in a light polluted location. Darker skies can definitely help. That's pretty much a given for any object. And then aperture helps. But remember, the ring is fairly small, so you probably need some good magnification on it. Now for imaging, one-shot color works. LRGB is going to give you more control with the monochrome camera. You can also do narrowband with it. You can see it has these outer halos of hydrogen. So if you're going to shoot that, you're going to need that hydrogen alpha. You could probably do it with a dual band filter, but a monochrome camera with an isolated H alpha filter will probably do a better job on that. But the Ring Nebula is a good target to go after. Its biggest challenge is it's just small. What's the question here? What's your favorite month or season to observe? I like going out in June because the Milky Way is coming up, like late June. August would be better, but it's monsoon season here in Arizona, so it's a little difficult to work with. I like seeing the Milky Way. So that's kind of fun, but probably my favorite time to observe is the winter because the nights are long. There's some really obscure, weird nebulas up, especially with Orion and Cepheus and stuff like that. There's some cool stuff in Taurus and Gemini. So I like the winter because the nights are long. They are cold, but I really like that dry, crisp desert winter air, especially when it's dark. It makes really nice deep sky observing. And I like that it gets dark early. So winter is probably my favorite, but I like the summer for the Milky Way. So spring is my least favorite because it's all galaxies and it just gets boring looking at fuzzies all the time. That's my personal opinion. Fall's not too bad because fall you're still transitioning and there's enough stuff to look at. But spring I actually find really boring. And it's really hard to do outreach events in the spring because they're all galaxies and we're usually in a really bright location. So yeah, summer and then winter. Winter is my favorite, followed by summer. Anyone use SETI Astro Image Processing software yet? I haven't even heard of it. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's like new softwares that pop up all the time. I haven't heard of it. I'll have to check that out after this. So, Will, raise your hand if you've seen the galaxy next to the Ring Nebula. Yes, you need a big daub. All right, another one that's up right now, NGC 7000, the North American Nebula. This is up in Cygnus, right off the bright star Deneb, also about 2,500 light years away. This is a huge object. Like, it's big. We're probably talking about 3 degrees field of view, if not even bigger. So a lot of times you can see portions of this from a dark sky site. I do find that an oxygen 3 filter can help. I'm pretty sure an H beta would help as well because this is a very heavily hydrogen based region. So hydrogen filters like an H beta would be really good for visual, probably. I haven't really tried H beta on it, but O3 does work. I've tried that. You could also use the UHC filter, which encompasses both that H beta and the oxygen. So that would also work. But the big key to this guy is it's just huge. So really what I find works is a short refractor or short something, probably about 600 millimeters with a really low power eyepiece. You want to get like that 3 or 4 degree field of view. So that's really ideal for like those short 80 to 100 millimeter refractor ballpark. It works really well for that. On larger optics, like big Dobbs, like 10, 12 or larger, it really starts to show up, but you're only looking at portions of the nebula, like the Gulf region down here or the Mexico region right here, or the wall as this section right here is called. Those things you can see pretty easily with a good amount of aperture on them. And filters do help. Filters are really helpful with the bigger scopes because you have so much more light going through it. So that's a good one to have. But if you want to see the whole thing, you're going to need something short like an Esprit 100. The best one I've ever seen was the Teleview NP 101 IS. That was a really nice view of that. But something in that like 400 to 600 range focal length does good for something like this. Imaging wise, again, the biggest issue here is it's a big object. If you want to get the whole field of view, you need something that's got about 3 degree field of view. Now, this shot, I believe, was done with an old Canon 200 millimeter f2.8 prime lens and a Starlight Express 694 monochrome CCD with an H alpha filter. And it worked really well. This is taken back when I was just starting to get serious about imaging, but yeah, a big wide field system is what you're going to need to do that. So yeah. Here's one. It's a fun one. It's a bit off the beaten path. I couldn't find an amateur image of it, so we'll use our tax dollar Hubble image of it. This is NGC 6826, the blinking planetary nebula. This is a fun one because it's not terribly difficult to see. It's not super dim. It's a good one for outreach, but it is small, so you're going to need some magnification on it. You should be able to see it with like a C or an 8-inch telescope. It doesn't take a lot of aperture. But what's really unique about this particular one is the star in the middle is bright enough to where when our eye looks at the nebula, it saturates the iris a bit, and it makes the nebula blink in and out. And people in a public event really think it's cool because you call it the blinking planetary and you explain to them what it is, and then they look and they actually watch it blink, and it freaks people out, and they think it's actually pretty neat because it's actually kind of an optical illusion that's going on there, but you can see it blink, and it's kind of a cool little thing to show people. And like I said, it's not really difficult. It's not ultra faint, but it's really tiny. So if you are using something, I'd probably like a C8 would be good, or something bigger like that, like a C11. Put a little bit of magnification on it, because it doesn't look itty bitty like a star, but you can tell it is a nebula even at low power. But if you want to get more scale on it, you're going to need to put some magnification. And high power observing is going to be able to show you the central lobe and then these outer lobes as well. You can start to see some of the structure to the nebula with a larger telescope with higher magnification. I have found the more aperture you put on it, the blinking doesn't happen as much, but it's a fun little nebula to go after. It's not hard to find. It's not uber faint. It just has a really funky optical illusion that goes on, and it's kind of fun to show people that. So, question, have you been able to get your hands on the Optilong L Synergy filter and test it? Mainly asking if it'll be good for the HAC. No, I haven't played with a Synergy yet. I haven't really even looked at the specs. I know they're out, but I haven't had time to really look at it. One of our people that we work with has been beta testing it, so I kind of need to pick their brain more about the Synergy. Why don't we just look at it right now? We've got a couple minutes. Optilong L Synergy. Because I don't really know a lot about it. Almost there. There we go. All right. So the new Optilong L Synergy dual band. So this is... There we go. That's what I wanted. Oh, interesting. Do they make two of them? Or is it just the one? So the Synergy... Okay, so this thing... Well, I guess it would technically work because it's 7 nanometer. So 7 nanometer is wide enough to where you should be able to use it on a fast system like the HAC. But it says f3.3 and above. So I don't know if you're going to get some weird reflections with a fast system. But at 7 nanometers, you shouldn't be clipping anything. It's usually when you get to like sub 5 nanometer is when you need like offset filters to handle it. And it's tuned differently, which is a little interesting. So, sorry, I should have looked into this a little bit more, but rather precise combination. Are there two versions of it? So here's what I'm asking. So the L Synergy, according to the website here, this one passes oxygen 3 perfectly fine, but it passes sulfur 2. Sulfur 2 it's a popular band pass for imaging. Obviously, it gets some interesting things out there, but there's not a ton of objects that have a lot of sulfur in them. I don't even have a sulfur filter anymore. I got rid of all mine. And our test camera, we don't have an S2 filter in it currently, although I'm thinking we might need to get one at some point. But it's an interesting... I've seen more of this come up. So I'm assuming that you pair this with another dual band filter that they sell, and it lets you do kind of the Hubble palette, if you will, with one-shot color. So, oh, it's supposed to be paired with the L Extreme. See, that would make sense. So the Synergy passes a O3 and sulfur 2, so you get your oxygen 3 and sulfur 2, and then you would go back and you would shoot with... Here we go. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, you're supposed to... I saw a picture somewhere where you pair the two. So you pair it with an L Extreme, because an L Extreme is going to pass oxygen 3 and H alpha. So I've seen other companies do things like this. I think Antlia has their dual band setup as well. It's an interesting approach, especially if you're a one-shot color imager. You probably should get a filter wheel nowadays if you're shooting one-shot colors as well, because between these that allow you to do dual band, narrow band, and light pollution, you could actually do a filter wheel. So that's interesting, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't use this on a HAC. You're going to need the Starizona 2-inch camera adapter that they make for 2-inch filters, but it should work unless you get some really funky halos with it. So there's, yes, too many filters when your filter needs a filter. There is a lot of filters out nowadays, and I'm having, like many of you, I'm having a hard time keeping up with all the new. I love filters. They're fun to play with, but there's so many new versions of these between Optolong and Antlia, and there's a lot to keep track of. I think we actually need to go back and redo our imaging filter episode and revamp it because there's some new stuff. So next object up right now, NGC 7293. This is the Helix. It's an Aquarius. This is a huge planetary nebula. It's big. It's close too. Darker skies are better. You can use an O3 or UHC. Just remember that it's a very large nebula, so you're going to stumble across it. It's a fun one to see. It looks like a big eyeball. If you have night vision, though, it's creepy to look at. I mean, it looks like an eye. It's wild to see it. Imaging, I've seen it done in town. I've seen it done in dark sky sites. It's really effective with narrowband. So it's a good target to go after right now, and it's generally well placed. So let's see. Question, did you say it's cold for you in Arizona in winter? Yes, it's cold here. For my warm-blooded desert environment, it's cold. So right now it's not. Right now is really nice, but in the winter it does get chilly. Come in the desert in August and July, and we'll trade. You can tell me how it is. So another cluster that's up right now, M15. This is in Pegasus, about 35,000 light years away. You can do this really in any telescope from any sky. No filters needed. Dark skies clearly help a little bit more. Imaging is any sky. It's really forgiving if you're shooting the cluster. The biggest challenge if you're imaging this is going to be the integrated flux nebula, this like celestial cirrus that they have over here. That's going to be the bigger challenge if you're trying to get that. But if you don't care about that and you're shooting in town, you can get a really nice, pleasing image of this globular cluster, or really any other globular cluster from in town. So let's see. Question, do you think Skywatcher should build a heavy payload wave mount? Yes, I think we should, and I would love to see one, but I have nothing to share with you guys about that right now. But yes, a larger strain wave mount would be really, really nice. As someone who does outreach with big scopes, a lighter weight, heavy capacity mount would be nice. So M31, big staple right now for fall, along with the Galaxy M33. That's not too far from it. But Andromeda is your big galaxy this time of year, 2.5 million light years away. Any sky will work. Little telescopes, big telescopes, high magnification, low magnification. Andromeda is interesting on so many levels. If you have a big telescope and you want to get interesting, you can go look for the globular clusters that are inside of the galaxy. That's a bit of a challenge, but it's a cool one to see. The cloud bands the dust bands are really cool. There's all kinds of interesting things in there. If you're imaging, put some hydrogen alpha in there. I've even seen people add some O3 data. So yeah, go try Andromeda, experiment with it. It's a really cool galaxy, really easy to see. The best view I've ever seen though is in a pair of 70mm binoculars in a dark sky site. You just get to see how big the galaxy is, and it's impressive from that. So another one is NGC 7331 and Stephan's Quintet, which is right next door. These are also in Andromeda. NGC 7331 or the Deerlit Galaxy. It's right here. It's a really nice spiral. There's also a bunch of galaxies nearby that range in distances. I think some of them get up to about 500 million light years. And then if you want to start dipping your toe into some more challenging targets like galaxy clusters, Stephan's Quintet is a really good start to that. You can see it in an 8 and 10 inch telescope. It's going to look like a little fuzz not far off of the Deerlick galaxy. I believe there's a 5 of them in there. Larger optics are going to really be what you want to break the cluster apart, and magnification and good seeing. But Stephan's quintet is a cool one to go after right now. No filters will help here. It's just dark skies. So good luck with that. If you're imaging Stephan's quintet, longer focal length is also going to help break that apart. So if you're trying to shoot galaxies, they're usually kind of tiny. So give it a whirl and see what you can find. And then here's an annotated image of everything up there. Bunch of little PGC galaxies, lots of NGCs. So if you want to give that one a shot, that's a fun one to go after right now. And it's a little bit more of a challenge, especially with Stephan's quintet. And then, of course, you have the Milky Way. This is my latest Milky Way shot from a small star party we went to 2 weekends ago as of today. So the Milky Way is still vertical right now. But yeah, we're at the end of it. So, oh, I missed something. What are your thoughts on heavier... Oh, there was 2 parts of the bigger strain wave. What are your thoughts on heavier payload harmonic drive mounts, observatory grade? Do you think they'll replace worm gear German equatorials in the market, or worm gear will... Okay. I really like strain wave mounts. Although to be perfectly honest, I think they get too much hype. I think they were a little trendy, if you want my honest opinion. Strain waves have a really good capability for anyone that's on the go. You want to hold a decent amount of payload while not having a super heavy mount. A strain wave mount is the way to go. They are super convenient for the field. You don't really have to pay too much attention to balancing them. You don't generally need to drag a counterweight out unless you're pushing up to the upper payloads. They're just super convenient for a lot of things. But I'm sure they could be scaled up even bigger, and I'm sure there's a market for it. But my question at that point would be why? I would love a larger strain wave for field use. For an observatory, I don't see the real reason to spend a bunch of extra money on a mount that doesn't need a counterweight and that's lighter weight, because if it's going in an observatory, you're putting it on a pier and you're probably never touching it again. So I don't think the general German equatorial design is going anywhere. The best way I can look at it is like camera tripods. There's carbon fiber tripods and there's aluminum tripods. Aluminum does the job. It's a little bit heavier. It might not be as convenient, particularly if you're hiking, but you pay less for it. That's going to be like your standard German equatorial mounts. There's a lot of people who don't want to spend the extra money for strain wave technology. It does nothing for them. A standard German equatorial mount works just fine. But there are those of us who would like it to be lighter and more convenient, and that's where a strain wave comes in. So there's equal place for both designs to exist. Not everyone wants to spend the extra money for that technology. So I don't think they're going anywhere. So I do think it'd be cool to see some bigger strain wave mounts, but you have to remember, and this is the big caveat for it, these mounts are not balanced. And that's easier to get away with smaller payloads. But when you get to big mounts, like observatory grade stuff, that you're carrying a lot of weight. So you're asking a lot from a mount carrying 100 pounds, like a big Cassegrain or something that's in a remote observatory. You're asking a lot physically of that equipment. So a standard large German equatorial works fine. I honestly think the future is direct drive. That's where I think the future is for a lot of this. And you're already seeing it in like plane wave stuff, but it's expensive and it's not as easy to work with on a direct drive system, but we'll see. I would like us to do a bigger strain wave mount, definitely for the field use, but there's a time and place for all of it, but I don't think German equatorials are going anywhere. I have a SynScan 14-inch Dob. If I lock down the secondary mirror cage, it's at its secondary locking position. How much aperture do I lose? That secondary position, that first locking position, is for like bino viewers. Also, our secondaries are oversized for the Dob size, so I don't think you're losing any light, because when you drop it, the secondary is big enough it should catch the rest of the cone. When you have the telescope fully extended, if you actually compared our 14 or 16 to say something like a high-end Obsession or New Moon or something like that Dob, you'll probably find that our secondary mirrors are bigger, probably considerably bigger than what they would use on like a custom Dob. That's to allow the light cone to be caught. Question, does aperture mask really make visual better since we are using the middle or best part of the lens? Yes, they're a nice trick to have. It's not, you could stop down a telescope that has edge issues. Like if you have a Dob or something that's got like a chip at the end of the mirror, or even a refractor that's got a big chip at the lens and you don't want to get rid of it, you can stop down the scope and clip off the bad part of the optic and it works fine. If you have seeing conditions that aren't great that night, you can stop it down to where the telescope is less affected by that, because larger aperture is going to get hit by bad seeing more. My 28-inch Dob has an aperture mask, but it's off axis. So it's on the side, so it avoids the secondary. So, and it's a 10-inch. So that's the advantage of having a bigger scope, is I can use a bigger mask. And it works like a 10-inch refractor. And it's noticeably so better. So it's a good tool to have in certain seeing conditions if you need to take a bigger telescope and drop it down. I don't use them that much. I only use it on the big Dob occasionally, but anything else, I don't mess around with an aperture mask too much. The 7-inch refractor I've got, that has a aperture mask to go from 7 to 6. But that's so I can use a Herschel wedge and I don't overload the Herschel wedge. But again, I don't even use that often either. So, but it's a good trick to have if you need it. So, all right, real quick, September totems, we'll get those together. That was NGC 40, the bow tie nebula. So we'll get that. The August ones should already be on their way out. So if you haven't seen it, they're on their way. We'll get September put together, but that was NGC 40. For October, a really unique one is NGC 7129. So I'm really eager to see what you guys can get with this. So definitely check that out. But that's it for this week. Thanks for watching What's Up in the Nighttime Sky for October. If you like what you see here, please go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like on a video. Lets us know we're doing a good job. You can always head over to skywatcher.threadless.com if you want to pick up some cool swag that supports the channel even further. And then if you want to support us, you can go over to your favorite dealer or skywatchusa.com and pick up any product you'd like off of our website. Definitely is a good one to go off of there. And then, yeah, make sure you check out our new used and open box. If you want to get a deal on something, the prices are pretty darn good over there. Head over there and grab it. There's also new stuff that's always going to come out, and check it out. So as we release new stuff, definitely check it out. But any new stuff that's going to be added, we're going to tell you here on the webcast. And right at the end of the webcast, the new stuff is going to get put on to the open box page. So if you want to know what's going to be released, watch the webcast, wait till the end. And right about the moment we're doing it right now, I'll tell you what new things are coming, if there are any. And then right after, it'll be put on there. And it's only while supplies last. We don't have like tons of this stuff laying around. It's like a couple boxes here and there. So once it's gone until more stuff comes around. So, but that's pretty much it. Thanks again all for watching. If you have any technical questions, you can email us at support@skywatchusa.com. We'll see you guys next week. We're finalizing next week's episode. It is going to be a special guest, but I don't have it ironed out 100% yet. So keep an eye out. We'll upload the episode's thumbnail here soon, but it will be live. and we'll see you guys next Friday. So have a good weekend. Stay safe out there, and clear skies, everyone. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, and bye.